Hello, everybody. Welcome to the genetics lecture video on how to do what are called two-trait or dihybrid crosses, okay? What is a dihybrid cross? Well, these are genetics crosses where you have larger Punnett squares, way bigger, and I know there's a glare right in the middle, so I'm going to work around it. It's the only way to do these kinds of problems. They're big Punnett squares. They look extremely complicated, but they're not that crazy, actually, if you take your time and you work through them. I'm going to show you a shortcut on how to minimize them in some cases. There is one example I'm going to show you today that is there is no shortcut. A shortcut doesn't exist. So I'm going to show you one today without a shortcut, and then I'm going to show you a couple with shortcuts, okay? If you want to do the shortcut, then do it. If you don't want to do the shortcut, then don't do it. My tip to you guys, so you can make less mistakes, the shortcut will clean this up and make it so you have less to look at. When there's less to look at, your likelihood of making an error gets reduced, okay? So the example I'm showing you is kind of how to set it up. The big issue students have is setting them up correctly. So once they're set up, students find them to be not that crazy, okay? So let's do the setup. I'll show you how to do it. I'll walk you through two sample problems, and then we'll see how you do, and then you can work these out on your own. So let's do it, all right? Here's the first one. So I gave you a sample problem where you figure out mom and dad, all right? I'm going to show you in a second how to figure out mom and dad when I show you the genetics problems, okay? But before we even get to figure out mom and dad, that has to do with the skills that you already have. Most people don't know what to do with their mom and dad, how to break them up. Well, you can only give your child half of your DNA, and you can give them a random assortment of half of your DNA. So you got to show all the possibilities that you could pass down to your child, okay? So mom, for example, has two H's and two D's. She can only give her kid one of the H's, one of the D's, okay? So when you do two-trait crosses, you are doing the law of segregation because you're only going to give your kid half of your DNA, okay? And you're doing what's called the law of independent assortment. You are showing me all the possibilities that you could pass your child. So let me show you where these letters came from, all right? So let's start with mom. I'm going to draw arrows in to show you where things came. And it's a good idea to do that because it prevents mistakes. So see this first one, uppercase H, uppercase D, right there. Okay, the second option, uppercase H, lowercase d, right there. The third option, lowercase h, uppercase d, and finally, lowercase h, lowercase d. That is where those letters came from. I'm telling you right now, the biggest mistakes I see during the school year when people are doing these problems, they don't draw the arrows, they screw up the possibilities, and then the problem is wrong, okay? More often than not, the students get the parents correct. They just don't get the possibilities that they can pass down correct. So what have I shown you right now? I've split them in half. That is the law of segregation. I've also showed you all the ways that they could assort themselves. That is the law of independent assortment. So the law of independent assortment and the law of segregation are taking place here, okay? On a single cross or a simple one, you're only dealing with one character. You're only doing the law of segregation. You cannot do the law of independent assortment unless you have more than one characteristic, okay? So let's do them. Let's do the sides. Let's show you dad. Dad, real easy. They're all the same possibility. They're all uppercase H and lowercase d's. So they're all uppercase H, lowercase d, uppercase H, lowercase d, uppercase H, lowercase d. They're all the same. So I'm going to show you right now a way to simplify this giant square. Otherwise, you're going to have to fill in 16 boxes with 4 letters in every box. It gets messy. So if you see shortcuts, take advantage of them, use them in these types of crosses so that your crosses aren't as messy, and it'll reduce your likelihood of making mistakes. So if you look at the top, each possibility is different. There is no two that are duplicated. So on the top, there is no shortcut. Every one of them is different. Shortcuts don't exist on the top row. On the side here, though, we have something unique. We have the same possibility for each one of these. They're all the exact same. So when you're dealing with probabilities, you don't need to do the same exact thing in this case, 4 times. They're all the same. We don't need to do it 4 times. To get good probabilities, we only need to do it 1 row. So you can eliminate the bottom 3 all together because they're duplicates of each other. Get rid of them. Make your life simpler. Now, my tip to you, if you can make your life simpler, do it. If you do not understand the shortcut, then fill in the entire thing. It just gives you more work to do, and it's going to take longer. And when you have to analyze 16 boxes, the likelihood of making a mistake goes up by a lot. Analyzing 16 is much harder than just analyzing 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the same thing before. These letters on the top come down. These letters come over. Keep the H's together. Keep the D's together. You want to keep like letters together so you don't make small little mistakes. Okay? So let's fill them in. Uppercase H, uppercase H. Uppercase D, lowercase d. All right? Next one. Uppercase H, uppercase H. Lowercase d, lowercase d. Okay? Let me go over here. Uppercase H, lowercase h, upper D, lower d. Over here, uppercase H, lowercase h, lowercase d, lowercase d. Okay? So now if I were to look at this problem and I was trying to do probabilities, my probability, it's not out of 16 because I didn't fill in these bottom 12. Your probabilities now would be out of 1, 2, 3, and 4. You just simplified it, made it easier than looking at 16 squares because they would all be the same down this row. They'd all be the same down this row. They'd all be the same down this row. They would all be the same down this row. You don't need to duplicate it 4 times. So this is the shortcut on how to handle a large Punnett square. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how to do 2 different kinds. One of them there is no shortcut. One of them, there is a shortcut. So let's do the sample problems together. I'm going to erase this and slide it up. Okay. Okay, and by the way, when you do these problems, you're going to be doing them online. You're going to be doing them on your computer. You need to have scratch paper. You need to make Punnett squares. You need to show parents. Showing parents and making Punnett squares, you have to do it. I know biology much better than you guys do, and I will make a Punnett square and parents every time I make one. If I don't do that, the likelihood of an error goes up tremendously, and you'll get a problem wrong otherwise that you would have gotten correct. Okay, so let's do this one together. Let's work this one. This one, no shortcuts, and I'm going to explain to you why there is no shortcuts. Okay, so let's go through this problem together. In monkeys, gorilla feet, capital G, dominates web feet, lowercase g. Okay, so our first characteristics has to do with G's, has to do with their feet. Web feet or gorilla feet in this case. Web feet recessive. The only way to get web feet, 2 lowercase g's. How do you get gorilla feet? Uppercase G, or uppercase G, lowercase g, because that dominant letter is going to show itself over the lowercase letter. The other characteristic has to do with the letter B. Monkey face is a capital or an uppercase B. Ugly face is a lowercase b. So to be ugly in this case, 2 lowercase b's. To be monkey face, it could be a capital B and a capital B, or a capital B and a lowercase b, because of the dominant characteristic. You just need one of the dominant letters to show the characteristic. Okay. Then I tell you, both parents, that means mom and dad, are heterozygous for both traits. Mom and dad are heterozygous for both traits. You need to know what heterozygous means. That means you got one of each kind. That means you got a capital and a lowercase for each kind. So both parents, mom and dad, are the same. They're both heterozygous for the G's. Let's first do the G's. That's heterozygous for the G's, okay? And heterozygous for the B's, okay? Let me slide that over so you can see it a little bit better. That is heterozygous for both of them. Heterozygous for the G's, heterozygous for the B's. Mom and dad are the same. So we got to give them both the same genotypes. Okay? Next step. Well, you got to figure out what letters to put down for mom and dad. So don't forget to use arrows. It's hard to see, but I'm using a lighter color on purpose. Okay, those are the arrows. They're kind of hard to see. Let me erase those. We'll get a better color. I'll make it so you can see it. The arrows look like this. Okay, so the first possibility, uppercase G. So you get, and by the way, don't forget, when you give your kids, you don't give your kids both of your G's. You give them half. So you're going to give them one of the G's, one of the B's. So the first possibility is uppercase G, uppercase B. The next one, uppercase G, lowercase b. Lowercase g, uppercase B. And finally, lowercase and lowercase for the last one. Okay, that's one of our parents. Oh, look, both parents are the same. So all of these get transposed right there. Mom and dad are the same. Okay, there's where we end up with right there. Then you fill it in. This next part takes some time, okay? So you're going to see me filling in these in a second. It's fine. You can speed through this section if you want and then get to the next part where I start talking again. Okay, but let me explain to you why there is no shortcut. Every one of these on the top, there's no duplication. You can't do a shortcut. Every one of these on the side, you got to treat them as one unit. There's no duplicate within that unit. There's no duplicate within that unit. Since you have no duplicates with mom, no duplicates with dad, you have no shortcuts when you work out this problem. Okay, so now let's do the problem. I'm going to fill them in. I'm going to keep the G's together and I'm going to keep the B's together. Okay, that's the way you do them. You keep the G's together and the B's together. So now I'm going to start filling it in for you guys. So here we go. Okay, there's my first row. Okay, that's my first row. Next one. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm going to be color coding your chart to make it simpler in the end. So you're going to notice I'm skipping boxes. I'm doing that on purpose to use colors so that characteristics can stick out a little bit better the next time we do this problem. Okay. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to continue filling in. Here we go. All right, here we go. All right, sorry about my last one. It's a little light. My pen started to die on me, but now let's answer the questions together. Here's what it should look like when it's filled in. I use colors and they're hard to see in this video. I understand, but I'm using colors to differentiate the characteristics to make them easier to see. If we were in the classroom, you would notice it right away with the different colors. In this video, you can't see the difference that well, but let's go through them. The first thing it says is, what is the chance that you'll have a child with gorilla feet and a monkey face? Gorilla feet is a capital G. Somewhere, at least one. If you have two or one, you got gorilla, basically. All right. Monkey. Oh, monkey is also uppercase B. So you get one capital B or one or two capital Bs. It will have a monkey face. So if you noticed, all of these, they're purple, but I don't know if you can see them. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them have that characteristic. So 9 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them have at least one uppercase G and at least one uppercase B. You can have 2, but you have to have at least one. So the first answer is 9 out of 16. This is the first correct answer. Okay. The next question says webbed feet, which are 2 lowercase g's, and webbed feet and a monkey face, which is a capital B. Okay. So these ones are, once again, webbed feet, 2 lowercase g's, and at least one capital B for the monkey face. Those are these 3 right here. 1, 2, 3. They're blue on this. We have purple, we have green, we have blue, and we have red. They are the blue ones. 1, 2, 3. So the answer here, 3 out of 16. Okay. The next one, gorilla feet and an ugly face. Gorilla feet are capital G's, ugly face is lowercase b's. Those are my green ones. 1, 2, 3 out of 16. All right. And finally, the last one, web feet, lowercase g's, ugly face, lowercase b's. That's the only one. It's my red one down here. It is 1 out of 16. Okay. This one did not have a shortcut. Okay. The second one does. If I were you, pause your computer for a second, try the second one. If you could do the second problem on your own without me helping you, and by the way, that second problem includes simple crosses and some incomplete dominance type of crosses. If you can do the second one, B by yourself, it means you understand how to do the first kind, the second kind, and the third kind. I don't even believe you're going to have one this hard as B on your actual test, but I'm putting it on your sample to see who's ahead of the curve, who really understands how to do these problems. Pause it for a second, try the second problem on your own, and then all I'm going to do for you right now, but pause it, try it on your own, and see if you can get the same answer as me. So let me slide it up and show you how to do it. All right, let's do it. Erase this, and I'll do it for you. Okay, here we go. All right. This is a mixture of the first 2 kinds of genetics crosses all mixed into one big problem. This is a hard problem. If you could do this problem on your own, you totally understand genetics. You don't have any problems, and I'm not worried about you at all. If you're not sure, just watch. Let's do it together. Okay. First one. In a certain plant, long dominates short stems. Red flowers, 2 capital R's, show incomplete dominance with white, WW, forming RW, which are pink. So RR, red, WW, white, RW, a red and a white, in this case, gives you pink. Okay? If a homozygous long, that's one of the pairs. Homozygous means the same. That's homozygous long. Red flowers is 2 R's. That's long and red right there. Okay? It's crossed with a short stem. Short is two lowercase L's. That's short. And pink. Pink is red and white. R and W. Okay? Arrows are important so you don't screw things up. Draw your arrows. All of these are the same. Capital L, capital R, capital, I don't want to be in the glare. Let me slide it over. Uppercase L, uppercase R, uppercase L, uppercase R. They're all the same. Okay, down the side, draw your arrows. Draw your arrows on it, okay? And these ones are lowercase L and big R, lowercase L and W, lowercase L, big R, lowercase L, big W, all right? We have shortcuts here. We don't have one shortcut, we got 2 shortcuts. We're gonna reduce this to a much smaller square and prevent some mistakes. Let's first start at the top. All of them are the same, exactly the same. You don't need to do the same thing 4 times. You can eliminate 3 of the 4 columns because they're identical duplicates to each other. Get rid of those. 3 of them, we don't even have to do them. On the side here, hey, look. Lowercase L, capital R, lowercase L, capital W, lower L, capital R, lower L, capital W. We do the same thing twice here. We duplicate it twice. We can eliminate 2 more boxes. This giant Punnett square gets reduced to just 2 blocks. Way simpler than reading 16. So you bring the L's, put the L's together, and the R's and W's together. All right? The question says, what is the probability they have a long and red offspring? They only have 2 to pick from. That is long, that is red. 1 out of 2 are long and red. Long and white. This one is long and red. This one is long and pink. There is 0 of them are long and white. All right? Next question. Heterozygous for both traits. Heterozygous means different. Different. That's heterozygous. The L's are heterozygous, but those R's are homozygous. So that's not heterozygous for both of them. This one, capital L and lowercase l, that's heterozygous. They're different. And an R and a W, that is different also. So we have 1 out of 2 that is heterozygous for both. That's heterozygous and heterozygous. That's 1 out of 2 is this answer right here. Okay? Now you know how to do these giant 2-trait crosses. If you could do the second problem by yourself without any help, you totally understand all of the genetics crosses up to this point. Now go try your sample problem.